out e-cigs. They're the best e-cig company on the line. And if you give them a holler and put in last week out in the promo code, you get 20% off. So I'm going to ask Anthony to translate what I just said in a more clear and concise voice.
So guys, if you go to Bud Out E-Cigs website and enter the last week out on your purchase, you will get 20% off your entire purchase.
Last week out is what you enter there.
Oh, not the last week out, just last week out. 20% off hardware, software, energy drinks, whatever you want. Literally anything you need.
Couple extra chromosomes, you need those? We got those too, dude. To get 20% off that mother flipping order, dude. There we go. See, I'm watching my language, guys. Watching my language, dude. That's again budouteasigs.com, promo code last week out. We got some dope music that you heard in the intro. Guess what? That's from DJ Devin Hancock, and you can follow him on Instagram at DJ Devin Hancock. And then we got some dope banners and artwork by the one and only Miss Sissy Art, dude. Follow her at Sissy Art, dude. And we got a couple chromosomes in here just hanging out today, dude. Let me tell you something, dude. To my left, bro. To my left, dude.
Here
is Anthony Tatum, dude. Anthony Ashy Tatum, dude. He fucking was scratching himself earlier, dude. I thought it was snowing. It was ridiculous, dude. Then
I'll go as deep as you'll let me. Yes, I will.
And then we got the infamous Mr. Nips on the ones and twos, dude. Let me tell you something about him. Don't be a bitch. He's got his nipples pierced, dude, because he's crazy as fuck, man. He's a cute kid. Let me tell you something, dude. And then we got me, Mr. Z. I am fucking Commander Cutie. I fucking steer this ship. I boost the morale. I tell people what to do. And if this ship sinks, dude, best believe I'm going to be the first one off.
You're supposed to go down with it, Chad.
Whoa. You know nothing about the high seas, dude. You don't know what it's like to be in a ship that's sinking, dude. Let me tell you that right now. You've been blessed to be on all kinds of sturdy ships, dude, made out of oak. And all right, dude. So you and your chromosomes can just fucking zzz until I give you the tap to take over, dude. You hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. We got a special guest, dude. Every guest is special because what we're doing here is a special thing, and we're going to get vulnerable, and we're going to get transparent, and we're going to get honest, dude. And you've probably heard this name, dude, and if you haven't fucking heard this name, then you fucking suck. Straight up, dude. Tyler Jack, man. He's a CEO, an entrepreneur, and he's one of those guys that walks in the room and you can just tell, first off, he's a little awkward, and that's okay. And that's why I like him, dude. Because I can already tell he came in. It's the first time I met him. I've known his name. I know who he is. And he started cracking these jokes, and I was like, okay, dude. That was nice, bro. That was real nice. I like you. I like your thoughts and your attitudes already, man. And he's just a cool dude. So I don't know where this podcast is going to take us, but I'm going to slap Anthony on the leg, and he's going to take over.
So, first off, thank you for coming, Tyler. Secondly, if you are watching on YouTube and notice that me and Chad are wearing the same clothes as we were last week, it's because we did back-to-back episodes today. So we didn't wear the same clothes.
I changed my hat.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Dude.
Just a couple views from the sis, dude. I'm telling you.
They're lying.
Yeah. So, thank you guys for listening. Tyler, I said thank you for coming. How we normally like to start is for our guests to kind of tell us a little bit about where they come from. So, were you born in Arizona? Where were you born?
I was. Yep. Born and raised here. Lucky enough to be raised in the desert. One time when I was little, I got gifted a cactus. And a week later it died. And I said, damn, I'm less nurturing than the desert that I live in. So
from a young age, very insightful.
Yeah. It really helped a lot of foreshadowing there for like the future of my life.
Were you born with siblings? Do you have siblings?
I do. Parents divorced, remarried. I got half siblings. A lot younger than me. 7 years younger than me. One and
so you're
13.
the oldest.
Oldest, yep.
Oh, what a plight to carry.
I know.
You gotta be the role model.
I haven't done a good job at it.
No. No. Well, you're doing well now.
Not before. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
so
sure.
let's get into that. How was your schooling days?
It was good, man. I was, I don't know. I was kind of like a lot of the other kids. I wouldn't say I was any more particular, but yeah, a lot of that chameleon role kind of came out. A lot of foreshadowing there for my, future ailments and illnesses and all that. So,
well, what do you like to do when you were a kid? Were you like skateboarding? Were you a sports guy? What was it?
Skateboarding?
Yeah.
We skated everywhere.
God, we bring a lot of skateboarders in here, man. That might be the trend of
Yeah, I
alcoholism.
don't get it.
man.
I was a blader, dude.
Oh, whatever, dude.
I was.
What do they call them? Like fruit booters
yeah,
or something?
Fruit booters,
Yeah.
dude. Oh my god.
So
yeah,
you're-
that was my same thought. Let me interrupt you real quick because that's important. Yeah, dude. If your kids start skateboarding, just take it away from them because they're gonna become heroin addicts. That's just what it is, dude. That's just what it is, dude. All right. Skateboarding, heroin addiction.
It's not
Simple
a healthy
transition.
outlet. It's not a healthy outlet. So you grew up skateboarding. No, how do you do in school though? Like, were you a good student?
Yeah, fairly.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it was not challenged enough in school, so it led to a lot of boredom and a lot of idle hands. And what's that saying? Like the devil's play toy, idle hands are. So I just kind of found my thing. Skateboarding worked really well for a while, and then I had an injury, and things kind of started from there. This roller coaster of being hooked into this pharmaceutical game that everyone gets kind of pushed upon them, willingly
wow.
or not willingly. So yeah,
that was the first. Were you smoking weed as a skateboarder?
I was. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
that
there was
wasn't
a
like the
little
first.
bit of drug tendency, but then you hurt yourself. You get put on opiates probably, and then bam.
Yep.
In high school?
Into middle school.
In a middle school?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's young, dude.
Yeah.
Okay, so how does high school go after that?
Less than ideal, I would say.
Yeah.
So, sorry, my headphones are really loud. So, my high school days it was a little weird because I missed like part of 8th grade, so it was like really kind of strange to come back into the scene after all that and have that absence. And then starting back into it, it's kind of like something happened to me that I felt like people couldn't really relate to. So that was weird, and it kind of progressed from there because when I went through this experience, I just don't think that there was like a lot of education around that. Right.
So you missed part of 8th grade because of an injury?
Yeah.
Okay. What? Tell us about the injury a little bit. What happened?
It was stupid. I was riding this little like GoPed or something like that and hit the brakes and flew forward and arm bent backwards and just
man.
broke in a ton of positions and
Yeah, I think I saw that on Ridiculousness.
probably I didn't quite get the scorpion going on, but it was close. But I don't know, it was weird. From that point I kind of just I tried to brush everything off. I was always like, no, I don't want the attention. Get off of me. Like, I'm fine. Things are cool. It's just a sprain. It's like fucking in half.
You got a flamingo
Busted
arm,
over.
dude.
Floppy and
Bones
shit.
protruding, chromosomes leaking out.
Yeah, all over the place. So many chromosomes. It's gonna be really weird for anybody listening to this because they don't know the backside of that. So you'll have to explain that at some point.
Yeah, we'll have Chad explain it later on.
Yeah.
in a
I don't
segment.
even remember. All I know is I said 2 chromosomes hanging out the cornerstone.
yeah.
That's it. Anyway.
So you get back. You're in high school. You're not doing very well. Do you end up finishing?
No. So I go all the way through it. I end up some credit short and not finishing and not being able to graduate with them. So I don't know. It was really, that was a weird time in my life because it was a lot of gray. There's no black and white. It wasn't one thing or the other. It was just kind of like, okay, well, this is it now. So here you go. Figure it out.
Well, what did you do after that?
Worked a bunch of temporary jobs.
Like
and-
what?
Tell
us about some
This
of
is the
these.
humbling part, right?
Yeah.
So one of them was I did maintenance at Walmart.
What,
Yeah.
like just fixing?
man,
the-
that's
No,
good.
no.
Cleaning
Yeah.
bathrooms.
So not even like
All of it.
cashiering or
No.
Oh,
no. That was
dude.
great. Yeah.
How long do you do that for?
Like a year.
Wow. That shows
Yeah.
that you have resiliency.
I guess so,
and
yeah.
perseverance.
I think I started smoking because that was like how I could get a break.
cigarettes. Yeah, you adopted that.
We
So-
only let smokers have breaks. I'm like,
How
fine.
often did you have to clean up feces in an aisle?
Oh, Jesus.
And
Not
was that a
often.
thing?
Actually, that was never a thing. So that's probably
Okay.
recently something that people do. I think the people that no, forgive me. I don't know if Walmart's a paid sponsor or not, and if it's a plug.
Not
Not
yet,
yet.
but we're open to it at Walmart.
We're in discussions with Target, so it's
Okay.
okay.
All right. Fair enough. So freedom to speak freely here. So I think that's just like a recent thing, and people are just getting grosser and grosser that go there.
So what you're saying, what you're telling me is at one point Walmart really was the neighborhood market, and it wasn't a bad place to go.
I didn't go that far.
Somewhere in the middle.
We're in the middle somewhere.
Right. I feel like it didn't used to be that bad, but I was also probably viewing it from a skewed vision.
I'm
right?
pretty sure
Through the
there's
lens.
people living inside the Walmart on 19th Avenue in Bethany Home that have been living there for years. I've got a whole conspiracy theory about it, dude.
Which aisle?
Dude, I just made that up actually.
Oh, you don't have a
So
conspiracy
you-
about it. All right.
Yeah,
That's four
dude,
now.
you
That's
confronted.
4.
Yeah.
dude.
That's the 4th time I've told the truth today.
No. Quite the opposite.
So after Walmart, Tyler. So are you still using opiates at this time?
Yeah. So there was usage all through that. Speckled throughout that. Sometimes more, sometimes less. It got more intense, less intense. I think it really just varied on how prosperous I was at that given time, considering that it was very expensive and how much of a double life I could truly afford to live. Because it was one extreme to the other. You know, I gave off this persona, and I would always wear nice clothes and whatever, and seem like I had everything together. And then on the polar opposite side, I was stealing people's stuff and helping them look for it and
No
doing
kidding.
whatever I could.
So even in your you'd say sordid past, you were still putting off the energy or the perception that you were pretty okay.
yeah, until I couldn't anymore. Until I couldn't get to that level anymore.
I worked
It
at
was
Walmart
blatantly
too,
honest.
actually.
Did
the
you?
one on North Site and the 101.
Shut up,
Yeah,
dude.
I did,
Just
and-
like you were adopted
Yep,
too, dude.
I was.
Oh my god.
I remember I used to have this hustle where a friend would come in and buy a paintball gun and paintballs, and he would just pay for the paintballs, and I'd run the paintball gun in front of the demagnetizer, and then he'd just walk out for $10 with like a $150 paintball gun.
What a hustle. Walmart, I'm so sorry if you're listening to this. Don't let that be a representation of what we stand behind. We can still work together, please.
Everything David just said was a lie.
So you are holding up this perception. You said that perception, and you said it eventually crumbled. Let's kind of get to that, because I think that a bulk of what we're going to talk about here is going to be sort of where you are now and your mentality and things of that sort, because that's kind of what we had talked about before.
Yeah.
So how did that transition into what you're doing now start? I imagine it started not long after the perception of you doing well crumbled. So.
Right. Yeah, there was that, and then there was some big events that had happened over there. I died a couple times, so that's usually pretty
What do you mean?
awakening. Like an overdose.
No kidding.
Yeah. Overdose situation happened, and it was. I think that really tells the true tale of addiction, right? Because I went and checked out of the ICU with a loaded syringe in my sock, and nobody found it, and checked myself out, and they advised me highly not to, but did that and left, and. I don't know. I joke around today like, luckily nothing's wrong with me physically other than all the brain cells I lost from dying that one time, and casually say it, and people are like, oh my god.
R.I.P. to the
terrible.
chromosomes, dude.
Yeah, you let a couple of them go.
Yeah,
that
yeah,
was
people
could have been
died.
full circle, dude. So for you, you overdosed, you left, and
Yeah.
you kept getting high.
Yeah, kept going. I don't think that there was like a repercussion that was great enough for that to happen. I got to be very friendly with the past sheriff now that we used to have.
Joe Pyre?
Oh yeah, his name like that. Yeah, friendly Joe. Got used to his system, got used to the hospital system, got used to just all of that. Just on the run, doing whatever. And I think what it was. I don't think that there was a lot of guidance there. And my family's great. They're phenomenal. They tried to raise the best son that they could. They were there, all through that, and tried to do everything that they could do. But I needed to find those things on my own.
So this is actually a really cool thing that you're saying. Not a lot of our guests. So we've had quite a few guests that are in recovery, seemingly because we've heard a lot of their stories round and about the city and the things that they've gone through. But this isn't a recovery aimed podcast per se. We have
Right.
people who aren't on, but a lot of them do talk about childhood traumas or broken and sordid families and things like that. But you're kind of saying your family was pretty supportive.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me a little bit about that. Like, why are you an alcoholic then? Essentially, you know what I mean? Like, in your mind, you have to have thought about that in
Sure.
comparison to what some of the stories you have heard.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, what a loaded question. You know, why are you the way that you are?
Yeah, why are you the way you
yeah.
are, man?
I think that has a lot to do with essence, but I'll carry into that later. But you know, you could be a product of your environment too. I think it's more than just a genetic thing. You know, it's more than just being pre-programmed to be a certain way. People develop and they grow as they go along. You know, otherwise there wouldn't be people that can learn new languages later in life. You know, your body replaces its cells entirely, from your brain cells to your toenails, every 5 years. So really the only thing that I remember now from, or the only feelings I have left over from ever using or having a drink or anything like that, are purely out of memory.
Right.
Yet still the phenomenon of craving happens. Yet still people drop back into it all the time. So why is that? You know, I think it has a lot to do with influence and preventative maintenance. You know, I want to grow to a certain way, and you kind of you get tired of living a certain way. So parents supportive, nothing that could happen. In terms of their eyes, they did a good job, and they did a phenomenal job, probably overly supportive. But something was twisted, you know, something sick and twisted up there. I couldn't tell you what it was, but it was kind of like, I need to rebel and do this thing and get this out of my system so I can feel a certain way and be the identity of who I think I am and my essence in this fucking, you know what I mean? Like, just this absurd thinking type of thing that on the other end of the spectrum would be completely, you know, acceptable, of like, oh yeah, my essence is to be a good person and to go to church every day and water my lawn and say hello to my neighbors. But in this side, it's like, oh yeah, I want to go there and tote guns and sell drugs and run with the hardened criminals and whatever, and it continues to spiral. It's that compounding effect, you know, of all that, of being in that environment. Is it just hits again and again and again, and this thing stops being as much taboo.
Do you carry that ideology into the way you live even today? Like, you're basically saying you can be perpetuated by those things. So for you, do you surround yourself with things that are pushing you in a direction that you want to go in today?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I think that's so important. You know, I told David this analogy that I heard somewhere one time, and it's like, man, people that have negative thinking are like, it's like your best friend comes over to your house and takes a bag of trash and just flings it all over the room. And so, like, but I truly have to believe that to some degree. You know, I think I relate with those extremes a lot more, because that's what I feel like my life used to be, is it was either really well put together or really falling apart. So when I hear that extreme message, it helps me relate that a lot to my own life, and I can pick the truth out of that I see. So I think that, like, surrounding myself with people that are doing more than me is huge. I mean, that's hugely important. How do I expect to grow?
More of what?
More in any way. I mean, more in tune with their spirituality. They're nicer than me. They give back more than me. They're more successful than me in a financial aspect. They're more prosperous, and, you know, they got a family and kids and all that shit. And, like, I look at that and I'm like, cool, those are things to aspire to.
Right.
So I want to be around people like that, and it might not always be that one person has all of these traits and is this god of a fucking being, but, you know, each person I can peel something a little away from, you know, and take that and see how they interact. And you know, I heard someone sharing their story last weekend, and it reminded me so much of where I came from, and that I don't need to be just like on top of it, jumping down people's throats on it. Like, chill back, let it exist, let someone have their experience, you know, let it feel out, but let them know that you're there. Mm-hmm. And to me, that's really cool, and I think that was the important part of this whole story of mine, was that I needed to have that experience. No one could tell me that in like a summary of like, here's a 3-page pamphlet of what's going to happen in your life if you stay down this road. I'm like, okay, like, fuck off. I need to experience that for myself, so I know it to be true, because it's not about this destination that I'm trying to be on of, like, you know, to get this retired guy at 65 living on hopefully Social Security. It's more so like this journey along the path of to have all these experiences and live through that, and to be able to seize every day like it is the most important given gift to me ever.
Well, and this transition, you left the hospital with a loaded syringe and you kept going. When did we get better? Because you're here now. How did you get better?
My mind,
Check his socks.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Guys, I got some secrets.
Couple chromosomes down there.
Yeah, you know what? So get better is such a loaded question.
Well, I think for most of us that are in recovery, we would say the beginning of it started with, because for me, there was no big growth that could happen before I eradicated the problem of alcoholism.
Yeah.
And like the problem of alcoholism, literally once that was gone, everything else became able to be nurtured, right? And so for you, was that the same experience that you had? Did you eradicate alcoholism and then start to adopt this stuff where it's like surrounding myself with good people, or did it happen in like the opposite of that? Like how did you get better?
It was completely like that, you know,
Okay.
to remove the inebriation and the numbness of all those things. I mean, and it could be whatever. I mean, we could be talking more about alcoholism and drug addiction here.
Mm-hmm.
It could be anything. It could be anybody's vice of whatever it is that they have. But it was removing that to be level-headed enough to hear a message.
Okay.
And at that point, it was timing and approach, you know, and that was the only two things that someone had to get perfect in my life. And I was fortunate enough where someone did, and I was able to hear something, you know, to have that brick wall torn down just enough to be able to get this message across it of like, hey, there's hope. Okay, yeah, tight. What are you talking about? Like,
Did you say dope?
Cool. Yeah, I heard dope. Where? Yeah. So that was really neat to me, and instrumental in my stuff. But it was also like, I think people were just very honest with me from a very early stage, and so I become that with people, and I started to realize I'm very blunt sometimes, where I'll just say it. I'm like, hey, you should stop doing that. You're kind of a shitty person because of it. And they're like, whoa, dude, I don't know you like that. But it was people that sat down. They're like, you know, hey, I have. If you really want to do this, I got $20 in one hand, and I got you know, an opportunity of reading a book with you and potentially stay sober in another one, and better your life. I can tell you one thing: pick whichever one you want. Just don't waste my time, because I could be helping somebody else. And it was a very clear message. There was no babying behind that. There was no like, you can do better. I swear, you're a good person. There's hope. It was just like, hey, so we're here. You're here. You know, you want this or not? So are you a seat warmer, or are you gonna get to work?
Right.
And that's kind of what it's been throughout my life. It's just like, are you a placeholder, and keeping it warm for someone else to come in for the rotation, or are you going to be instrumental in change?
Right. How old were you?
When I came in,
Yeah.
20.
20.
Yeah.
Wow, man.
Mm-hmm.
Not even a legal drink.
I know.
That's nuts. My
Yeah.
buddy, that's how Chad, Jake,
Mhm.
all the same. That's nuts, man. That's beautiful. So you get well. Then
Yeah.
what happens?
Realize that everything else is still difficult.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah.
there's so much to accomplish from that point. Now it's like, okay, cool. I have this huge ailment, not necessarily off my shoulders, but at least out of the forefront of my view, as much. And there's still maintenance that has to be done there, but of course that's a continuing thing. So now I'm left kind of abandoned. I feel like I'm this empty shell of this thing. You know, if you think of like a progress bar, think of like 1%. I'm like, cool, now you can start. It's like, fuck,
Yeah.
okay, great. We're at the starting point. Shit, I just ran a fucking marathon. You know, like, so being at that starting point, it was a really good foundation for change. You know, it was like abandon all the things that you think you know, and like, whoa, what? What? Okay, open your mind up and be willing to have any experience possible. Do what we do, and you'll have what we have. And it was like that, and it was the same story for every single thing. It wasn't just in the rooms, or it wasn't just in one way or another. It was the same thing in business. It was the same thing in relationships, and it was the same thing of like, I just had to do one thing, and that was I needed to be committed. I needed to commit 100% first, and I need to figure it out afterwards. I mean, are you going to do this? Yes, I'm going to do it. I'll be there. Like, oh, dude, I don't have a car. But I'm going to find a way to get there because I said I was going to do it. And when I made that promise, integrity for me was such a thing that I never had in the past. So that was the most important thing to me, and that became number one on my list. Is like, I'm going to be a man of integrity. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do the things I say I'm going to do, and I'm going to show up when I say I'm going to show up. And if I don't, then I have to make it right. And I'm not perfect at that. A lot of times I'll have to make things right, but I think it was the effort in that is being committed, you know, and that's like everything that I have in my life. Like, I was so committed to putting on these pants this morning. You have no idea. I was just like, dude, I am not going to be naked today.
Hey, dude, let me tell you something, dude. Those pants fit you nice.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Made a little stretchy too,
Yeah,
but it was the same way with everything. You know, it was the same way with all aspects of my life. You know, I mentioned that before to you guys with my relationship. You know, I got to utterly commit to that. Like, there is no option with that. Like, this is the person I am going to be with.
Right.
That is, like, that's my future. And utterly sell myself and also, you know, my partner in that. I'm just like, your life is better with me than without me, and here's why.
Well, I don't know why, Tyler, but when you're talking to me, you strike me as a person that this is like embedded into your soul. Like, I feel like relieving your alcoholism, and I could be totally wrong, but relieving your alcoholism, you had some really good training in your life, because like, you strike me as a person who's incredibly determined. Like, just the way you talk and the way you think, like, you'll freak some people out. Like, if you convinced me to go to the gym with you, I'd be like, this motherfucker's gonna call me every day about this, and that's just who you are. Right? And so when you got recovered from AA, you feel like you took that tenacity into most areas of your life? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Have you seen it cause you pain?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, where?
You could utterly be committed to something into failure.
Yeah.
You know, and that's hard. That's really hard, because like, there will be stuff that doesn't work out and it doesn't align with my expectation. And I think that's that driving force, is like, I had this expectation for a certain way to work out. And I'm gonna be frank here. Like, anyone that says that I have no expectations, I'm like, okay, so you probably haven't gotten out of bed ever. Like, you have to have some sort of expectation. Like, I expect I'm not going to die today. That's why I'm planning for my future. Some sort of expectation. I am not going to be naked today. I like that.
That's a good drop.
Yeah, you should save that one.
Well, we will.
For a lot of them. But dude, it falls into everything. You know, that utterly being committed. It's weird.
It's been problematic though at certain times.
Yeah.
Well, and so here's what we got to do. We're at 28 minutes.
Yeah, get the fire extinguisher out, dude, because this guy is on fire, dude.
So we're gonna take a quick break.
Okay.
We'll be right back, and we'll pick up where we left off as far as where you've seen your mentality kind of working for you, and maybe where it hasn't. So I think that'll be great for our listeners.
Yeah, and stay hydrated out there. I'm about to pee for the 5th time today, so that's a sign of good hydration. Love
It's
y'all.
summer.
Good evening, my friends. It's Commander Cutie, Mr. Chudsy Wubsy from the Last Week Out podcast, and we've got some exciting news for y'all. Over here at the Last Week Out podcast, we are produced by Slack Media, and they have a special promotion going on right now. If you are a two-legged Homo sapien or a millennial who just had a meaningful conversation and have the urge to put it on the internet, we're just the people for the job. We record, edit, and update and post. Update and post. What the fuck is update? Why did I say update?
You can update stuff.
I guess you can update stuff. Listen, dude, you want to fucking do a podcast? Guess what? We're the ones that can do it for you. We can edit, mix, master, and produce the whole thing, and we can help you figure out, do you know what an RSS feed is? Because I sure didn't when I started this, but because of Slack Media, now I do. So if you have a podcast and you want to get it started and you want to skip all the difficult stuff, go ahead and email slackmediallc@gmail.com. Or you can god damn it, dude. Or you can slide in our DMs at the Last Week Out on Instagram.
Ooh.
Get on in there. Love you. Bye. Now that time, you son of a biscuit-eating bulldog, dude.
I like to not swear there, dude.
I cannot believe you, dude. You go, oh, don't turn it up. But you just turned it up right now as I was talking, dude. You're trying to box me out, man. I'm not going to live within the confines of your mustache, dude, all right? So get me out of there, man, dude. All right, we got the fire extinguisher. We cooled down our guest a little bit, dude, because he was spitting hot fire, man. And he was just coming out. His face was turning red, dude. I was just like, oh, man, dude, it's getting hot in here, dude. I'll tell you what, dude. So I have no idea where we were, but I'm going to have Anthony take the wheel once again because he is the co-pilot, not the pilot.
But if Chad has a heart attack or anything like that, I can fly this plane. Don't worry.
That is true. And I might just have one. You never know.
So we left off. You were talking about your commitment. And you were talking about how you take... You're kind of all in. Like, that's just sort of your mentality. And we were talking about how that's an endearing quality. At least when I meet people that are like that, because I am risk adverse, I think would be the way to say it. I don't have a huge aversion, but I always take it into consideration. But you strike me as the type of person that you probably make good decisions, but you are going to stand behind them. Am I right in that, or meh?
Yeah, I mean, risk has a lot to do with it, right? Because you could play it safe all your life and work a 9 to 5 and be okay and have to do it for you and your family and all that. And I think that was one of the things I left behind a long time ago. Simply because I mean, no disrespect to them at all. They're just doing what they know. But my parents were that way. My grandparents were that way, and it was that repeating cycle again and again, where I knew I had to do something different. And that the bold get rewarded or punished really hard, but I was willing to take that gamble because it was my funeral. If when I die, I want someone to say, man, he really wasn't good at a lot, but he was determined. He really willed himself into everything that he did, didn't he? And just to have that, just to believe wholeheartedly in it, and I think that's how you get better at stuff. Like. I'm not good at speaking into a microphone, but I'm getting better as I go because I'm not averting this risk,
But the dichotomy that you're saying, everyone would want to agree with it. You meet people in your life who are just kind of like, well, it's family first, man. It's family first. And then they just do like shitty things constantly. And you're like, oh, I don't know if you believe in that. And then when you're saying like, the whole 9 to 5 gig, or what did you say? You said you can work 9 to 5 and you can do that. And I meet a lot of people, especially at least my generation, where we're like, yeah, you don't want to get bogged down with that. And things are changing, with the internet and the opportunities that people have to work from home and do sort of stuff like a little bit differently. I hear you, but I genuinely believe that you're a guy that has created a path for himself. You're not just saying like, yeah, I'm not about that 9 to 5, and then you go to work and you're stuck in some sort of dogmatic cycle. And so for you, where do you think that mindset was instilled, or do you think that's just who you are? Because for me, I don't think I can listen to you talk and then today be like, I think I'm going to quit my fucking job and just dive into this whole thing. Like, I feel like you have something different than me. Do you believe that or no?
No.
Badass, dude.
I think we have the same thing in a lot of us.
Okay.
I think being determined can be one thing or another. You just had a kid, right?
Close. 10 weeks out.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So you're utterly committed to your wife and this future child,
touche.
right? Okay,
Different
cool.
areas.
Yeah. So this thing can be applied in a lot of different ways, and I think it's really where you apply it. Like, and that's the difference maker with a lot of people is how much am I willing to put at stake, And for you, I mean, that would be your bachelor lifestyle. I mean, shit, that's having a wife
Holy
at first,
shit,
you know what I mean?
Look at this guy, dude.
So you're gonna quit your job tomorrow, right? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, dude. Wait, you show me a check for $700,000. I'll quit my job right now and work for you, dude.
Right. So
Don't be a bitch.
I needed that proof, though. I needed to see it. I needed to see people that were being successful. I'm like, cool. You do what you do. Prove it. Like, I should be able to tell that you do what you do, and that you believe in you, and that you believe in this, and are so utterly convinced that there is not a doubt in your mind that this is what you're going to do.
Right.
And I think that's people making up their essence, right? And I think that's a very controversial topic because you can get way into philosophy on this type of thing. But it's kind of like the defining feature of a knife is not the handle. The defining feature is the blade. Otherwise, it'd just be a stick. So it's like finding people's essence. I think that's kind of what drives me. You know, it wasn't like, yes, I want to own a construction company. Like right when I was a kid, that wasn't what I wanted to do. But what I wanted to do was make a difference in people's lives, and by one way or another, you know. And another thing I wanted to do was to try to be influential in a space, and that's another thing too, is that I want people to think about me when they think about something, when they think about X. So for you, it might be when someone thinks of an awesome dad, they better think of Anthony.
Right.
Like, because I'm going to be that guy. You know, I'm going to be all the sporting events. I'm going to be on the sideline cheering him on. I'm going to be the coach of the team.
Right.
You know, like, that's the guy you're going to be. So I think that was the guy that I wanted to be in my life was, I wanted to be the giver. You know, I wanted to be the person that was able to open the door when someone didn't have a place to go. You know, I wanted to be the guy that provided the opportunity if I could. You know, and I think that was the most important piece, where it was like, find the one thing and figure the rest out later on how you do it. It's like, let's worry about the essentials and doing the right, good, humanly thing first. And if I do that, and it's of you know, the best part of my heart and my belief in my being, then the rest will follow. So everything else is secondary.
For me, I think when I'm listening to you, you're dead on the head, right? And what you're saying is 100% right in some of my areas of life. Like there's some things that, and I think that intuitively I commit to the things that I'm kind of good at. You know what I mean? Like I don't think being a good dad is going to be a long stretch for me, and I think I'm going to put a lot of energy into it. And then there's some other areas, you know, that I feel like I can dive into. And so I'm kind of trying to bridge it for somebody listening who's, you know, wants what you're talking about, you know, because for me, starting a business has come really rigidly for me. It hasn't been easy. And it's hard for me to stay in the mindset and keeping the passion of doing it constantly. And so for you, where's this human frailty? Where are your human frailties at? Do you wake up some days and be like, man, I'm putting all this energy into this area. I'm so committed to it. Am I doing the right thing?
So I don't know if you've ever seen that picture of like the dude that's mining and he's like digging a tunnel and there's like a bunch of gold and he gives up and there's like a sliver left. You know, it's like that type of thing. Like I think like that is every part of my life, where it's like, man, it's just on the other side. You know, it's just, I just got to be a little bit more determined and hit it from a different way, you know? And it's kind of like, here is the object, or here's the thing to accomplish, and you know, I try to hit it from this side, and if that doesn't work, that doesn't mean like, well, it's unaccomplishable. It's like, dude, try another angle. Like maybe it's compromised more on this side. Maybe I can get in this way. And I think that has a lot to do with an obsessive nature, you know, in things, and probably has a lot to do with my early upbringing and childhood and everything too. So that's been a constant across, right? But I just feel like I hear these stories all the time of like, man, the light bulb was not invented on the first try. He failed so many times. So it was that thing of like learning to like failure, you know? And that's fucking hard, right? Because that's a difficult thing to like. But it was like learning to like defeat, because defeat prompts challenge. And when challenge is presented, the opportunity to break through that defines the character of the being.
You know what we're doing here, boys? This is what's happening right now. I want you guys to know this. Is that we're sitting down with a person who is going to put into understanding the reason why we're not the CEO or the boss of anything. Because there's people on this earth like Tyler Jack who's just out here just crushing it day in and day out. Like when I wake up and I just play video games one day and just I'm like, fuck this. I'm not doing it. Tyler Jack is at the gym still and he's grinding and he's swinging the pickaxe, mining the gold. You know what I mean? Like that, it's a mind state that you have that I don't think, like you said, it's in me. And I think though you have it in certain areas that I don't think I could have it, man. But maybe I'm wrong. You know, maybe I need to find the job that I am passionate about. And I know we were talking about that before, was like, you know, you were trying to convince me I could sell or find the passion, you know, and those sort of things. And for you, You know, do you think that if you weren't running a construction business, if you were running an ice cream company, you think you'd do it with the same tenacity?
It'd be the best ice cream you ever bought.
So
Would you have? Whoa! But would there be vegan options?
100%.
who cares? Why would you stop me for that? Who gives a shit?
Because you stop me for dumb shit all the time.
I'm just gonna turn down your mic, dude. Don't tempt me. No. So what I wanted to ask is that. So that begs for me the question is: do you have the fear that you'll never be satiated? You'll never be satisfied, and it's always the next day is gonna be better. This type of thing, and it's like, do you have the fear that you can't just be satisfied with where you're at?
So I've got a lot of fears, right? And I feel like fear is an instinctual thing, right? Like we are instilled with fear so that way we can identify a threat looming in the bushes when we're trying to collect berries so we don't die, right? Like, so that's fear. Like, let me explain what fear is in my life. That's my comprehension of that. It's a safety mechanism to keep me perpetuating forward. It's an ego at play. So yes, I mean, I think there is a little bit of something there with like, I'm worried I'm never going to be satisfied about something, but it's also like, I'm not worried about that because being satisfied to me is the placeholder. There is always more to accomplish and more to do, and that might not look the same in every category. You know, like for me today, you know, my accomplishment might be to, you know, create a stronger bond with my mother, and that's like, oh, that would be really cool to continually work on. And then like it's kind of like that spinning plate idea, you know, where you keep just a bunch of spinning plates on a bunch of little posts and try to, you know, keep them all going at the same time. It's like something with that balance idea is going to fail at some point, and that's okay. Are there going to be
vegan options on these plates?
Only vegan options. What are you? Are you a vegetarian? Are you a vegan? That's what's there. So it brings it into a balanced lifestyle. But I think you guys are 100% right. I mean, it is the mindset, because that wasn't always there. Like the determination was there. Like, yes, I want to do something great, but it's just out of reach. And I think coming to terms with like, there are certain things I need to do to get there. And let me identify what those are.
Yeah.
And to me, that was like, first off, number one, the thing I had to do, and the thing that has kept me moving forward like no other thing. And it's the thing that pisses me off, because it's the thing my father said to me all the time, was like the early bird gets the worm concept. It's like, I like doing more before you woke up than you will do before lunch. Like, that is like my thing I enjoy. Because the world is peaceful, things are quiet, I can get ahead.
So I've been meeting you Wednesday, Thursday mornings, and I've been adapting that slowly, not so much painfully, but like those days I meet you, I'm up at 4:30, and I go outside, I water the plants, and I'm getting ready, and I give myself plenty of time to get there and stuff, and I do notice that I feel more accomplished.
Yeah, Chad's the disciplined one of the group for sure.
Not all the time, dude. Not all the time.
And waking up, Chad has always been. And so, but the stuff you're talking about, man, like when I'm listening to you, you know, I think in my mind that you have found a lot of purpose, you know, and because that's the only thing I can generalize to what separates us. You know, like the early bird gets the worm. I remember it was like, there was another idiom. It was like the first mouse gets the trap and the second one gets the cheese. You know what I mean? So I was like, yeah, I think I'm going to use that idiom in my life. But,
Damn, that was fucking good, dude. I've never heard that, dude.
So,
but is it vegan cheese?
Yeah, it's vegan options, dude, for
A
that.
couple extra chromosomes
But
of cheese, yeah.
for you, like, because when I get passionate about something, the way you're talking about being passionate about it, it has to correlate to a level of fulfillment that I get from it.
Okay.
You know, whatever it is, you know, whether it was my bad behaviors back in the past or even today, it's like I get passionate when I genuinely believe that it's serving like a big purpose. And so for you said that the person you wanted to be was the giver, right? Is that what's pushing you today? Is like you want to be, it's not for money. It's not for, what is it?
Yeah, it's for opportunity. It's for influence. I think that's the big thing, right? Because I feel like my mind went through those progressive stages. At first, it was like, I just want to be liked. You know, I want to be the dude that runs with the group. And then it was like, cool, I want to be the reason people meet. And then it was like, cool. Like, I want to be the guy with the money. And like so on and so forth. And like, I want to own this stuff. And then it's like the sphere of influence, you know? And I think that's the big thing is like, how can I influence more people to get out of the mindset of saying that they can't? And also, I think it's also industry specific for me on the reasons why I want to do the things that I do. In terms of like standing up for what's right and what I believe in, and truly being able to help people and stop watching, you know, the little guy get crushed by the big companies, you know, and that's a thing that kind of keeps me driving in terms of at work. But it was also with that like sphere of influence, it was attracting a lot of minds. You know, you find that a lot of good shit tends to come in that direction when you know, attract positive things and positive behavior and positive, you know, people, and provide a lot of opportunities. And it's kind of like if you set the table for a bunch of people standing in a room, they're eventually probably going to come and eat it. You know, that type of thing is like, check this out. Like there's a bunch of fruit over here. And that's what's important to me now, is because I realize how much that comes in play here. And that is like, a few people can bring a lot of opportunity to a lot of people. But these things are never ending. These resources are not finite. So like there's no lack of, like, let's say for example, money. Like there's no lack of money. They print it all the time. Like, you want some more money? Cool. Yeah, we just printed 6 trillion. Perfect. Here's some more. Here's some more. But I think that it's common to have a mindset that there is a limited number of that. And there's only so much that I can attain. There's only so much that I can get, and there's only so much that's reasonable, and everything else is excess. But I don't think it's that way. There's only so much food. There's only so much water. There's only so much oil. Like, that one might be a little bit more true. That's a little bit more true.
But no, I know what you're saying.
But like energy, I guess you could say, in terms of that. Like, no, dude, we can make more. Like, if enough of us get together and are strong-willed enough and determined on this, and we stick to our guns and we help one another, we can get there.
Yeah.
And that's the whole point. I didn't do it alone. You know, I did it with a lot of fucking people around me where I'm like, I'm clueless with this. What do I do? And they're like, you know, some of them would give me their advice, and some of it would be bad advice. You know, some of it would be like, save your money and plan for a rainy day and buy a house and whatever and settle down and stop being so wild and crazy and taking all these risks all the time. And you just need to find yourself a nice girl, and, you know, like the things that kept me suppressed.
Well, and it's that idea of like, don't be in save a nickel mode, be in make a dollar mode.
Right. Yeah, don't skip over it. You know, don't skip over a dollar trying to collect the penny, type of thing. And I think that applies for a lot of stuff. It is I think having that insatiable feeling inside strives you to do more, and it you know, is able to bring more to the people that you care about. It's one thing if you're a greedy bastard and you want more so you can hold it all, and so you have a nice, you know, lockbox when you die.
Have a sick coffin.
You have the best coffin that anyone's ever seen, and the most proper service ever. But like, what does that matter? You know, what does that matter if you don't give it to people? Like, I couldn't get anywhere that I am today without people helping me. I couldn't, you know, my business couldn't be where it is without employees.
Well, and what I hear you touch on some like sociological perspectives. Like you're saying, like, you're not bogged down by some of the pressures of, you know, settle down or do this, which I think is amazing. By the way, like, that's awesome. Like, you're taking these risks and you're doing these things. Do you feel like there's ever a chance, because I think for a person like me, sorry, I'm backpedaling a little bit, but I think for a person like me, when I meet a person that is as driven as you are, I have to, in my mind, be like, well, this guy's missing what I got over here also, you know what I mean? Like, just to make myself feel better. I'm like, well, maybe I've got the right dichotomy actually, and this guy doesn't. Do you feel like you may be missing the boat ever? Do you ever second guess yourself about what you're doing?
Let me answer the first question first.
Okay.
Because you asked two, and that was, the first one is, maybe this guy wants something what I have, and I'm running this the right way, and he's fucking up, and, you know, like, and I think you're 100% accurate. There are things that I will miss out on. Like, yeah, like you have to want it. You know, whatever it is, you have to want it.
Sacrifice.
Yeah, and you're going to have to sacrifice a lot. And it's not for the cases of being a martyr. It's for, you know, just laying on the grenade just because you're the guy to do it and have nothing to show for it.
Mm-hmm.
it's because something comes out of that and something fruitful comes out of that. So 100% I'm like, dude, this guy's got it going on. You know, he's got a wife, he's got a kid on the way, you know, he's a homeowner, and like, that's fucking awesome.
Right.
But like, for me and where I am in my life, you know, I want all of those same things. It just, for me, it has to happen on like different timetables to where I'm like, cool, I needed to work on this. Okay, perfect. Now I have to switch my attention to this because, and you know, that's the thing that's very prominent in my life right now is my relationship and my seriousness and that. You know, we've been together for a long time, and so you know, now it's like, okay, cool, like, yeah, business is maintained, spinning plate, still in the air, cool, awesome, great, let me hop over here because this is really important. And that's not to say that it took a secondary seat or anything like that. It's been prominent the whole time. I mean, that is the people in my life that influence me the most are the ones that are closest to me. So they're the reasons that all of this other stuff is possible. But, you know, now then it kind of turns to like, I need to give this more of my attention because this one thing's been bogging me down, and I don't want anyone to feel like I can only be this attention deficit, laser focused, you know, thing in this one direction. Like, I still need to care for the other stuff, you know, because a lot of times that stuff is more important. You know, having the proper group of people around you that are influencing you is so important. You know, like, I've learned so much from just being in my relationship of like, you know, she always pushes me to do better. You know, she's like, you need a schedule. No, you need a better schedule. No, your schedule's still shit. Here, try this. And like, try this on for a second. Hey, you should wake up early. Hey, you should eat better. I kind of don't want you to die. I'm like, okay, yeah. And so it's like putting positive things in me, not only positive thoughts, but when I take the recommendations of the people close to me and do those things, and it makes it better, you know, like, I'm counting macros and shit right now, and before I'd be like, that's stupid, you know, I don't want to do that. That seems so pointless. Like, I'm young, got a metabolism, but I'm like, she's right. You know, I do want to live for a while because I have this responsibility now, and that can change for a lot of people. But for me, that responsibility is not only as a partner and a son and a peer and whatever. It's also as, you know, an employer and a means of finance and jobs for people too.
Yeah.
And so it affects a lot of things. So I tend to be a little bit more risk adverse when it comes to things that are like, hey man, you want to go out dirt biking this weekend? I'm like, no, probably not. I got a lot of shit on the line right now. Like, there's a lot of people that count on me. Like, I got a fucking prop that's 10 up, dude.
Yeah.
And so it changes like that. But I think that's pretty consistent, I would say, at least in terms of looking at your life versus my life right now, where you're just like, dude, I gotta hold it down. You know, I gotta hold it down for my wife and my future kid that's on the way. You know, like, I gotta make that happen.
Well, and I mean, you're just so, I genuinely do believe that we would be at odds and would argue until our face turns blue, because I genuinely believe there's something in you that I don't got, you know, and maybe something in me that you don't got, you know. But when I look at you and hear what you're saying, it's like, man, it's not just about being the boss or the CEO, but you're so driven in this direction that I don't think I could be. And maybe I'm wrong. You know, maybe I'll come to find that. And it's so admirable though to hear you talk about it. And the way that you talk about your employees was like, you carry that responsibility with you. You feel like you need to make sure on a daily basis that you're building this business so that they could be okay.
I work for them. Yeah.
I mean, that's great, man. I mean, I know a lot of people that get into business, and, you know, to be the boss is hopefully to be the person that can kick back. Like for me, I want to work, literally, Tyler, I swear to you, I want to work like 20 to 30 hours max. Mm-hmm. That would be ideal for me.
You know, that Tim Ferriss 4-hour work week shit.
Dude, do I? You know what I mean? And I want to be at home, and I want to be with my wife, and I want to see my kid,
sure.
You know what I mean? And do those things. And that's really what's important to me right now. Like, I can't bring myself to idolizing like when I meet people who are like hungry, like you are hungry, like I bet you work, how many hours do you think you work a week? At the office and not at the office too. You said you wake up at midnight and film videos.
I mean,
yourself losing a sale sometimes.
I would say over 100 hours a week.
You're a monster, dude.
I mean, you know, when people say I work 40 hours a week, I'm like, I remember my first part-time job. You know, but like, let me back up though, because like, I think it all starts with one thing, and it all starts with that negative thought. I can't do this. I can't be this way. It's not that you're not doing something right now that's not desirable. It's totally desirable for you.
Yeah.
And I'm doing something that's totally desirable for me. Mm-hmm. You know, that passion is not the thing that's non-existent. The passion is there. the drive is there. I mean, believe me, you and I both have enough of a reason to wake up every day and do what we do.
Yep.
But I think it's that negative thought, because if I wake up every day and I'm like, I can't run a business, I can't do this podcast, then I'm probably going to psych myself out and I'm not going to do it. But if I get rid of the tortuous thinking, then it completely removes that dialect. And the more the more I do it, the more I become comfortable with it. And it's just like anything. The more I practice it, the better off I am at it. The more it becomes habitual, and so on and so forth. And sure enough, after 20 days, then it's like,
well, and you said you compartmentalize your fear as being a biological construct, right? You said, let me tell you what fear is. You told me what it biologically is.
Yeah.
But that doesn't change for some people how real it still is.
Yeah.
But for you, how have you walked through that?
Okay, so there's one practice that I use a lot with that.
I'm excited to hear it.
It's my little thing.
I work 60 hours a week just on this.
No. It's just a little reminder. It's this little thing I tell myself all the time to realize that I'm small. And you're going to be super disappointed after I say it. You're like, oh, I knew that. But so I think about the grandioseness of the universe. And that's my driving force, right? Because when I think about, okay, I start with my problem. And if I'm really hung up on something, I'm like, man, this thing is just getting me. It's a thorn in my foot. And, I can't stop thinking about it. I'm obsessive about it. But then I start to, I kind of like zoom out. I zoom out one level. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm me. Like, cool. Let me remember what that's like. Let me remember what being me is like. Like, it's been all right thus far. And then I zoom out again, and it's just like, cool, I'm part of Arizona. And, and again and again and again until, like, I get, like, way out of the, the X of that, and I kind of get more of a bigger scale. And I'm like, dude, I'm on a planet that's like a big boulder piece of rock that's very unlikely that I'm going to be here, rocketing around in a spiral helix motion, traveling through the universe to where my lifespan of 100 years, maybe if I'm lucky, is going to exist over like this much of a span of the universe. And for all those listening, I have like an inch in my fingers right now.
Yeah, and how long is that line? It's
Right.
very long.
Right, but to me it feels like forever.
Right.
It feels like this moment is happening forever and this defines who I am. But like in all reality, it's not. I just need to zoom out a little bit and determine the likelihood of me being here feeling this. And then it's like, oh, yeah. Yeah, that fear. Oh, yeah, my burger was made wrong. Okay. Whatever. Like, you sure you don't want to send it back? No, it's fine. I'll eat it. Like, I'll be okay. And that's that underlying thing, that comforting feeling is just like, yeah, dude, really all odds are kind of stacked against me even being alive or humans being a thing or understanding English. So, like, I'll be all right. Like, I'll maintain. Things will be fine. And just kind of keep trucking to where it's like, okay, cool, next. Like, next thing to crush, put that in the bank and put that, juice that through the CPU really quick, and let's see how that process turns out.
So you didn't even need us here, pretty much, for this podcast.
I did.
We could have napped through this, and you'd have done great.
No, I'm nothing without the questions. I think that the stuff inside my mind is great, but like if I don't know that that's pertinent,
Yeah.
then whatever, or if I don't have the right people to talk with about that, I mean, it means nothing. I could get someone that would be here and they'd be like, cool, so how do you feel today? And I'd be like, ugh, fuck, yuck, get out of here, gross. Like, dude, hit me with some real
So for the
stuff.
last question,
I am not going to be naked today.
no,
That was
I
not a
got one.
question.
I got. So, how are you feeling?
Yeah.
No. I'm kidding. I got a real question.
Yeah.
I'm interested in knowing, because I have dabbled in a lot of different motivational entrepreneurial podcasts, and a lot of the things that I'm hearing you say are, I don't know what's original and what's regurgitated. I know some of it's original and some of it is regurgitated. So what are some of the staples that you listen to as far as people who have influenced you to have this determination and to have this mindset?
I see. Okay. Yeah. So I've tried to do a fairly decent job, at least, not taking credit for someone else's work.
Right.
Yeah. So because that's one thing I'll try to never do. But it has influenced me to come up with these own ideologies and ideas. So some of the people that I look at are people that just absolutely demolish shit. Like, people that are way more ambitious than me. Like, the Grant Cardones of the universe. That's a YouTube channel that I follow and listen to all the time. When I wake up and practice my thing of like waking up at 4 a.m. and taking my dog on a walk and smashing it out of the gym really quick. It's like, that's what I'm listening to. You know, I'm listening to people like that. I'm listening to people that bring the energy to the table. You know, I'm listening to the Gary V's and the, you know, every once in a while the Tony Robbins and all these different people and
Badasses.
A lot of great people, but also like the people that approach it in a different manner, like the Chris Roods of like the real estate world. That's what he kind of dabbles in terms of he does mentorship and everything as well. So those people influence me, and it could be for like a variety of different reasons. You know, like the Grant Cardones are really good at like that extreme ideology of like, I need to do this and do it all the time, and here's what my 10x work schedule looks like, and it's boom, 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 pound it out all the time. And then I need to see the other people where it's like, dude, no, it's important to take that time for yourself because that's how you reflect on it and whatever. So
well, and I mean, for me, I could listen to that and it doesn't resonate. Like, it doesn't resonate to the same, like, I have a very existential, like crybaby sort of appeal. Like, when people start talking about like human emotions and what they're feeling and how they're processing them, that's what gets me. And the stuff that you're talking about, like, it's very I mean, you strike me as being militant and just like awesome, you know what I mean? And I know there's a human being with a ton of emotions in there, but I think you not validating them to the extent that you'll let them be your detriment is what makes you, like, at least in this little bit of time that we've had together, like, you seem incredibly influential by the fact that you're not going to be crippled by an experience. You're going to overcome that adversity. Now we're at an hour, which is awesome. You've crushed through. Thank you. I mean, I will listen to this content again when I'm thinking about quitting my job, and you'll probably push me over the edge. But I would say I would like for you, imagine our listeners, and our listeners are people who are human beings, maybe some like you, maybe some like me. So for them, what are you thinking that they need to hear today that maybe could help them acquire, because they're listening to you, right? And maybe if I was listening to you, which I have been, excuse me, I'm being dumb, but I'm like, okay, how do I get here? How do I get to this place? Where's the best place for me to start today? What do I need to do tomorrow to fulfill starting a business and waking up determined and overcoming my fears? Like, what can I do tomorrow morning to start that lifestyle that you're talking about?
Okay. Oh man, so there's a lot of stuff I could touch on that, but I'll keep it to the basics of where I started with that, because I didn't always used to, you know, be someone that just eats and eats and eats and always hungry. You know, I used to be the guy that'd make a frozen pizza and lay on the couch.
Fuck, dude, he just described me, dude.
I
literally want a DiGiorno and like barbecue chips right now, dude. Okay,
yeah.
so tell me how to stop, dude.
So I think writing your goals down for me was so important because it made it real. And I'd write it down more than once. I'd write it down every day. You know, I'd wake up in the morning, go to sleep at night, write down my goals. I'd see what they were. Sometimes they would change. Sometimes they'd be stuff for the day, for the week, for the year, for the month, whatever, like anything. Start with something. Start with just having a direction to point the compass, you know? And then the next thing is I think really making a schedule for me helps a lot, because I'm a fairly, even though it might not seem like it from, you know, an observer standpoint, but I'm a fairly disorganized person when it comes to my time. So I live by that. You know, I don't do something in my life without that. And the more I'm accountable for my time and how I use it, the more useful it can be, the more impact I can make with the short time I have on this earth. So if I start feeling like it's borrowed more than it's in excess, that I tend to be a little bit more diligent about how I spend it. The other thing is with business, change your think about money. Change your think about it, because I hear people, they tell me all the time, you know, I drive this ridiculous truck, you know, to work 7 days out of the week, and I see people look at me like, wow, that's ridiculous. Why would you ever buy that? What a depreciating asset and whatever. And I'm like, bro, it's a write-off. What are you talking about? I'm like, that's one of my biggest write-offs that I have, other than my payroll expense, you know, or my rent for the office. Like, that's huge. So it's changed the think on the money, you know. Everyone, oh, I want to buy this house and I want to, you know, get a bunch of equity in my home and do all this stuff. But it's like, but you can't spend it now. Like,
Right.
What are you doing with it? You're kind of at the mercy of somebody else's game here. You know, you and I were talking earlier about the mortgage game, and the first time you saw an amortization schedule and just got absolutely frustrated and disgusted. And it's just like, dude, someone here is banking off of that, is banking off selling you that dream. You know, like, I just want to get there and I want to be a homeowner. Cool, that's great. Like, I do too. Like, I do too for the reasons of taking care of my family and having a dog, you know, having a yard where my dog can play. Like, that's fine, but let's call it what it is. It's a house. It's not an investment. It's a house, because I can way more multiply those funds, having them liquid and available, and employing them in certain areas by paying actual people to do work so I can expand my hours. I only have, I mean, shit, I told you I worked 100 hours in a week, but I only have that, like, about that in me. If I start to go anything over, that's going to be ridiculous. But in terms of, like, you know, every employee you bring on can add 40 hours to that. So it's changing your think on the time that you have available too, where it's like, cool, I've maximized my influence because I've maximized my time, therefore I can do more things at the same point. And that's really cool. It's where you can kind of like be like a magnifying, you ever hold like a magnifying glass and burn ants? You know?
I never have. I'm not a monster.
Just me then. Okay, I'm the only monster here.
Chad has. I can tell by the look in his eyes, dude. He did.
Yeah.
Hey.
But it's just like that. You know, it's like you take a lot of people and you focus on one thing and you just, you know, you can just destroy it versus having this broad sun ray that rushes upon everything. Gives me a little bit of warmth in my skin, you know? So it's changing the think on a lot of that stuff. Changing the think on savings, you know? Like, cool, you're planning for a rainy day. Great. What kind of yield are you getting from your bank? You know, like,
And how often does it rain in Phoenix?
right. Also a valid point. But, you know, it's like, cool, that's like 0.03% you might get on your checking or savings account. Great. Did you know inflation is 2 to 3% a year?
Right.
Like, and the cost of goods continues to rise all the time. So, like, what is that actually doing? So I would encourage everybody to get into business. You know, you are a business. You can sell something. You sold me to be here today.
Right.
You know, like, I sell my girlfriend that it's a wonderful idea for her to be with me every day. You know, I sometimes I sell my car if I'm low on gas, so we're going to make it to the next gas station. And somehow I do.
Well, Tyler Jack, for the people. Tyler Jack's a man of the people. He's starting businesses. He's getting it done. No, but honestly, man, thank you so much for coming. I mean, you have literally unleashed an arsenal for us. I hope that I meet you somewhere in the middle. I don't think I want what you got 100%. I don't want to work 100 hours, but maybe someday I will. But I would love a lot of the tenacity that you bring. I'd like to implement it into a lot of my life. I hope that our listeners enjoyed it as much. Chad, what do you got?
Well, first off, I'm just like, I need to wake up earlier, and I already wake up early as fuck, and I'm already a pretty determined and disciplined person, but I want to be even more determined and even more disciplined, and I'm just sitting here thinking, I'm like, oh, I like to go do things on the weekends, and I'm like, you know what? I think I need to start working on the weekends. Don't be a bitch. I need to start staying up late, dude. Oh my God, no. I want to thank you, man. You have blown me away, dude. Any person I talk to, like you said, it's like I woke up, I got out of bed today, I got expectations. You know what I mean? And not knowing you and only knowing your name, and like having this expectation of how this was gonna go. You came and just like completely destroyed that for me today, dude. And like you have been extremely influential in your experience today. And thank you so much for that, dude. What's up? I'm trying to come work with you, dude. Holler at me.
Show
dude.
me a check for $700,000.
I've actually already talked to a couple of your employees, dude. So here we are. Here's the first interview, dude.
We're just kidding, Gina. He's coming to work this Monday.
I will be at my
Always.
job, dude. I love my fucking job. It's dope as hell. But yeah, man, thank you, dude, and thank you to all the fucking loyal members of the matriarchy out there, dude. We love you, man. We love you so much, dude. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share our videos on any platform, man. And don't forget, dude, Bud Out E-Cigs, 20% off. Enter in that promo code last week out.
Love you guys. Thank you.
Mwah.